Good morning. It is 6:32 a.m. on Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I am frustrated with my webcam right now because Logitech took it upon itself to just download a new version of its software. May be fine on its own right. I've played around with it a little bit. It seems like it does some of the things that things like OBS and XSplit do, which maybe is good. But what it has done now is give me the utter inability to use the camera controls anytime that the camera is not actively being controlled by Logitech's software. So, for example, using it now for Facebook Live, I cannot pull up the camera controls because if I try, it just says, "Oh wait, no, you're not using it right. You should use our software," and that's irritating. So I'm a little bit zoomed out from where I want to be. Can't manipulate the color balance or anything, or at least I haven't figured it out yet. That's perhaps the answer, but so far I've not lucked out. Anyway, last night I was inspired to rewatch Alien because I had but Adam Koebel is a guy who does various RPG-related things on the internet, streams Dungeons and Dragons and other games and all sorts of things. Yes, I am unbalanced. But he recently did a first look of the preview version of an upcoming Alien RPG. And it sounded way fun to me. And that inspired me to rewatch the original movie. Although technically, what I did is watch the 2003 director's cut, which is funny to call it that because there's a little explanation thing for what there's an interview with Ridley Scott, the director, about what the director's cut entails, and he basically says, they wanted me to make an expanded, longer version, which just inserts all the deleted scenes back in, and when I did that, I felt like the pacing was all off. But what I decided to do is a whole re-edit of the movie that just includes those scenes but changes some of the other scenes, so it's actually technically shorter. And so it's really just a different cut, but they are calling it the director's cut for marketing reasons. I thought that's funny. So that is actually the cut that I watched, and honestly, I haven't rewatched the movie enough to be highly attuned to what the differences are. But I'm sure you could find any number of different articles out there on the internet that would explain every minute difference. But it's still a pretty great movie. There's a handful of effects shots that maybe don't hold up quite as well as excuse me, goodness. There's a handful of effects shots that have aged, shots that would certainly be done with CGI now. But the flip side of that argument is that probably much of it would be done with CGI now, whereas the original practical effects in many places have aged very well and don't need to be touched. But there's, so it's just one of those things to notice, and I sometimes forget that the original Alien is, 1979. And so some of what that retrofuturism produces is kind of fun, just like we've clearly got a long-range space mining vessel that goes out there long enough to go to different star systems, although some of the logic of how the space travel works is certainly unclear, because they don't give the impression that they do hyperspace or light speed jumps or anything, but they certainly do visit other planets, and they go into hibernation for what is implied to be periods of months, at least in terms of their intended period. And yet all of their computer screens are late 70s, early 80s era monochrome monitors, lots of very chunky computers, which is still actually amusing to look back on. But boy, just the sense of atmosphere and the ambiance in that movie is incredible. And I can only imagine what it would have been like to see that movie without knowing the big surprises in it. And I remember that my dad, he'll still talk about how Alien is the one movie he saw in the theater that really, like, actually scared him in a sort of profound way, not just in a "whoa, that was scary" way, but like really made him uncomfortable. And so I think part of the reason that I had been thoroughly spoiled before I finally saw it was just because he found it so scary that I was a little like, I ruined the surprises for myself just because I was worried it would be that scary. Now, the thing is, like, watching it now, the ambiance is great, but I don't actually find it, like, scary personally watching it now. But, that's okay. I mean, I think that there's all sorts of I think the problem is right now it's been so seeped into culture, like all of its various ins and outs, that it's just kind of feels like background noise in some ways. Anyway, though, it's great. I'm glad I rewatched it. I'm thinking I may, will I watch the whole series again? Maybe, but not quickly. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because I got to get ready for work, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.